Hello everyone, this is Goosebumps Godzilla, and today I'm going to be talking about the Say Cheese and Die camera from Say Cheese and Die. And I'm going to try to figure out who actually created it. So viewer beware, you're in for a scare. And let's get started. So the camera from Say Cheese and Die had, average origins. So it turns out it was an experiment made by this unnamed scientist who's trying to build the next improvement into camera technology. And so, anyway, while he was doing the experiment, his assistant, whose nickname was Spidey, wanted to take all the credit for the experiment for himself, so he tried to steal the camera, but before he could steal the camera, the unnamed scientist put a curse on the camera, so whenever you take a picture of someone, something bad would happen to that someone or object that's taken a picture of, and it basically creates a dark future for that object. And so that's pretty much the origins for the Say Cheese and Die camera. And in this video today, I'm going to try to figure out who exactly is this unnamed scientist that is barely even mentioned in Say Cheese and Die and the Say Cheese and Die book series as a whole. And so the first person I would think of for doing this, making the Say Cheese and Die camera, is probably Mr. Chameleon from the Haunted School. So there are a few credentials we need, first off, to prove that Mr. Chameleon actually made the camera, and that is, first off, it needs to be strongly associated with cameras. Second off, it needs to have a cursed camera. Third off, he needs to curse things. Curse objects and stuff. And fourth off, he needs to know a lot about cameras. So, Mr. Chameleon seems like the perfect kind of guy to be the unnamed scientist. First off, he is strongly associated with cameras, since he did the class photo shoots and all that stuff in 1947. So, yeah, he is strongly associated with cameras. In case you don't know who Mr. Chameleon is, he's basically this guy. All we really know about him is that in 1947 he was going to take the class photo of the kids, but he got really frustrated with them, so he took a picture of them and sent them to his black and white dimension. That's all we know about Mr. Chameleon, but I honestly think he could be the creator of the camera from Say Cheese and Die. First off, the camera basically is the same exact camera from Say Cheese and Die. Maybe they were different or something in some ways, but it's the same concept. Whenever he takes a picture of, something bad happens to them. Some may argue that that camera only sends you to a black and white dimension, but we have no real proof to actually prove that it only takes you to a black and white dimension, since we only know what happened to the people once. That one time with that same camera. So, I honestly believe that that is just like the Say Cheese and Die camera, except it's a different one. Also, it'd sort of be in the same time frame as the creator of the Say Cheese and Die camera, because also there is a second Say Cheese and Die camera in Say Cheese and Die Screaming, and it's got completely different origins, but it was made during the 50s for some movie. And so, when he took the picture of the class, that was in 1947. So, it's not that big of a time jump for him to create that other camera, because Spidey could not have created the second camera, because if he already knew the design of this camera, that would change the world, and why would he steal the prototype and, get all this controversy and stuff about this guy saying he stole his idea and all that crazy stuff. So, stole his camera, I mean. So, it makes sense that Spidey has no clue how to actually build the camera, and the inventor built the second camera in Say Cheese and Die Screaming. So, that time frame fits with the 50s and 1947, so that also makes sense. And also, he probably cursed this camera on the fly, because first off, I'm sure he took pictures of the teachers in the class of 1947. I'm just almost positive he did, because that's what usually happens. I think that, I don't know, I don't have that much experience with class photo shoots, but I think the teachers always get their picture first. But also another thing is, the reason he even sent them to the evil dimension was because he was frustrated with them. He probably only brought one camera, because that's what most photographers take in this. They have like a whole trunk full of different cameras, so it could have been a specific camera that he cursed, and he couldn't have proactively gone out and done it, because the book definitely states that he was frustrated with the kids, so that's why he sent them in a different dimension. So that would mean that he cursed the camera that he took a picture of the kids with. So those are some of the credentials met with. First off, he lives during the same time frame. Second off, he's strongly associated with cameras, and he can curse cameras, and the camera that he uses is almost exactly the same one as the one in Say Cheese and Die. So, anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comments section below. Do you think Mr. Chameleon created the Say Cheese and Die camera? Or do you think it's someone else in the Goosebumps universe? Or do you think it will always be an unnamed scientist? Well, that's the end of my video, and I hope you enjoyed.